I feel like we were raised to think that it has to be a struggle in order for us to like do well in life. Like there has to be something that like breaks us or something in order for us to be successful. And that's just like a deep embedded belief that I just want to get rid of altogether. Like that is just like so like disheartening.
You know, us as a people, we've done nothing but survive. You know, any obstacle, any roadblock that you've thrown at us as a people, we've been able to overcome. But I really want for us as a community to be able to thrive.
What's up, y'all? It's Janae.
And it's Theo.
And we're back again with another video. Welcome to Black Vision Network, where we like to talk about Black wealth, Black health, Black counseling, and Black education.
Very nice. So today, the topic, we're gonna ask ourselves an open-ended question. You know, in this day and age where, you know, mental health has become a big topic of conversation, I wanted to pose the question of, do you think that this new generation is soft, as some people would label it? Or do you think that we are just finally understanding how bad old habits and old ways of doing things are?
So, I personally don't think we're soft at all. I mean, I think some people have a cushy lifestyle, but it goes like person to person, of course. But I think for the majority, like, times are changing. Things aren't necessarily as hard as they used to be. Like, we're in an information age where almost every, well, if you're in America, you have a lot of access to information.
Yes.
To become literally whatever you want to become. And I feel like we're having like a mass awakening that like we're realizing that whatever we put our minds to, like that's not just like, doesn't just sound good. Like it actually is true. Like whatever you really continuously think about day in and day out is like what you become, because ultimately you right now, how you look, how your life is, the job you have, family you have, relationships you have is literally a culmination of all the decisions that you've made and choices you've made. They made up who you are right now in this moment.
Absolutely. I think you made a great point talking about the information age, because the easiest way to combat people who feel that this generation is soft is with information. And I think our access to information has led us to see that a lot of the old ways, old thinking, old patterns of doing things are toxic. They are unhealthy. They do damage your body, whatever have you. And like, so for example, when you think about, should I put my child through the same struggles I went through in order to make them more productive? Or can I manifest my life through my thoughts and meditation? The information will answer your questions for you. Information will tell you, even going from the Bible to currently, the Bible tells you that, what you think, what you focus on and what you say will come to fruition. And even now we see the effects of continued meditation and manifestations in a positive way. I know we've both seen it in our lives manifested. So how can you argue with that? How can you say that it's soft to just say that you want something? No, you saying that you want something has yielded tangible dividends to make a change in your life. And so I think, just with the information that's out there, that we can see that we have better answers, and we're becoming more aware of how to do things in a different way that, the older generation may not agree with, but it's going to be better for us down the line.
Yeah. And I think like when it comes to like softies, one thing we can learn about like older generations is that they worked.
Absolutely.
They worked hard. Now, I'm not saying you will never have to work hard, but there's now, with all the information, there's a way to work smarter. And like with the information, you really have to choose which ones you're going to absorb and which ones you're going to ignore. Like you really can't just like listen to one person on YouTube and be like, oh yeah, now I'm going to live my life like that. Like, because people out here will lead you astray. Like for real. And like me, like I will always cross-reference 3 sources. That's one thing that, classic education taught me. I will always cross-reference 3 sources before I like take something as like fact or belief. But like, I feel like out here it's easy to see people doing what you want to do, and it seems like they didn't do anything to get there. When in reality, there was blood, sweat, and tears. But they don't show you that. They're not going to show them crying in the middle of the night or sitting up in their bed editing for 5 hours and refilming the video 3 times. No, they're going to show you the perfect, edited, cropped, finishing product. And I feel like a lot of people who see that, they're lazy and they want to get there the fast way. Like, I always fall like victim to that. It's just like,
it glorifies the end result rather than the process.
Yeah, like instant gratification. You always say that because I always check like studio analytics, and like there's nothing like getting knocked on your butt and you can't do anything but sit there and wait before you can even take an action towards getting some sort of gratification. And those moments are like good to reflect on, like, why are you doing it? Are you doing it just so you can get as many views as you want to, or are you getting it because you want to improve the well-being of the general Black community? Like, what is your why behind it? And I feel like a lot of people want like the glory without, like, I don't know, everybody wants to be a millionaire, but they don't want to become the person it takes to be the millionaire.
Yeah, I think that's a good point in talking that when it comes back, going even back to information, you can only navigate from the place of what your knowledge is. So when we talk about the older generation, and yes, they worked hard, conditions were harder. I mean, you can look back at it, it's not really much up for debate, especially in the Black community, having to deal with Jim Crow and just the previous generation behind us. But that's part of, systematic conditioning, is that information on how to improve and how to do better was kept from us. So when you talk about, for example, parenting, and there's a strong belief in the Black community that of trial by fire, you're hardened by, having hard experiences makes you all the better for it. And you can't fault them for that, because that's really all they knew. They saw their parents having to, struggle and being one generation moved from sharecroppers and things of that nature. So all they knew was, okay, if you want to be successful, then I have to throw you out here on your own and let you figure it out. When in fact, it's kind of that lack versus abundance where, that's what we saw, so that's what we're going to do. When in fact, studies will show, information will show that, giving your children a head start financially can dramatically improve their financial trajectory. Or, for example, letting your kids stay home after college and build up a savings so that they are not purchasing that new apartment, new car in a place of debt, but they have had time to, work and save up and build a lifeboat for themselves, would allow them to go higher, achieve better financial habits, financial success, instead of spending the first 5 to 10 years of their adult lives climbing out of debt. And so with this new information, we can make more informed decisions that, yes, I do believe that everybody needs some sort of adversity. You need to be able to overcome adversity. You need to be tested. But your whole life doesn't have to be encompassed by pain and struggle in order to produce the best results. You'll be very good at surviving, but you won't be very good at thriving.
Yeah, and I feel like you made a good point. Just like, I feel like we were raised to think that it has to be a struggle in order for us to do well in life. Like, there has to be something that breaks us or something in order for us to be successful. And that's just a deep embedded belief that I just want to get rid of altogether. That is just so disheartening that that's even a thing. But it really is the reality of what people have to live. But at the end of the day, we have we're blessed in all situations to be able to think of the reality we want and be able to manifest it and bring it to fruition. And I think at the end of the day, it's oh, you can think that, but what inspired action is what leads to manifested desires. You're oh, I want that. It's just well, now I have to become the person that would naturally have that in their life. What does that look like? So for example, I always go back to health. It's well, because that's my, I have goals, everybody has goals. I write them down, and usually my fitness channel or my main channel is focused on fitness. So I think once you start to feel good about yourself, how you look, your body, good in your skin, like it helps you be able to go after everything else you want to. And it's like, oh, I did this to my body, my home. What can I do outside of me that can also be successful in those endeavors? Like, and it's just like, you always gotta break up those big goals into small goals. Like me, I always get overwhelmed when I like hear like a big feat that needs to happen.
Yep.
And it's just like, well, what can I do today? Like right now. And it's like, well, or for example, like just like for money, like I want to save $20,000 next year. What does that look like? What does that look like? Let's do the numbers. Let's work backwards. How much money do I make? What is the maximum amount that I could save based off this month and last month's average expenses and bills? Like, what does that look like going down the line? And then like for me, the more detailed I get into diving into that, the more I can feel like my emotional state around money and around my money situation start to change, because like you kind of feel uneasy about things you don't really know much about.
Yep.
But then the more you know about it, the more you're like, ooh, and you like can maneuver through whatever that situation throws at you.
Yeah, I think it's very important that I think a responsibility that we have in this generation, and I think we're doing a pretty good job of, bringing awareness to it, is with this new information that you have, creating and changing the mindset around these habits. And so, when you're talking about going from surviving to thriving, us as a people, we've done nothing but survive. Any obstacle, any roadblock that you've thrown at us as a people, we've been able to overcome. But I really want for us as a community to be able to thrive. And so while, for example, talking about money, a mindset of lack, coming from a home living check to check, you hoard money. You don't want to, you're scared to give it away. You're scared to use it, scared for it to escape. Your whole aura around money is fear. And that keeps you that way. That keeps you in a cycle of constantly, not having extra money at the end of the month, not being able to create wealth or go beyond that point financially where you are right there because of fear. I want to open us up to this new information to be able to take financial risks, understand and step out into the unknown, and know that we can have an abundance mindset with money, that we can take risks and investment and learn how to budget and, not give all of our extra money at the end of the month over to wants, but have a need. Say that we're going to pay ourselves first. Say that we're going to invest first. Say that we're going to spend the time learning how to invest. The information is out there. You have YouTube channels, people in the younger generation who are informed about it. And, you can take advantage of that and be open to a change. I think one of the things that, has defined our generation is our openness to doing something different. While the older generation will say that you need to work the same job for 40 years in order to work your way up the corporate ladder, this generation has said, no, I want what I'm worth now, what I can bring to the table now. And if that's gonna take 40 years, then that may not be the path for me. It may be spending 2 years here and going somewhere else where my talents will be higher valued, where I can get the pay that I'm worth, instead of, having to endure disrespect and hardship on the job just to say that I climbed up the corporate ladder. And so I really want us as a generation to, make sure we're coming at it from a positive place, but help to understand and motivate the generation ahead of us, as well as the generation behind us, that this different way of doing things can yield better results. We're coming at it from a place of understanding how these changes have benefited us. It's not a slight to your experiences and what you went through, but like I said before, we want to go from just surviving to thriving.
Yep. So I wrote down a lot of stuff so you can finish. There's a lot of points I wanted to make.
Okay.
But when it comes to how we feel regarding money, it's usually a feeling that's been passed down through generations.
Yes.
When I look back, my relationship and my emotions surrounding money started with the way I saw my mom have money and deal with money. And it always looked like she was stressed out when it came to money. And I knew she made 6 figures, but she was supporting a family of 7 by herself with 5 big old kids who ate a lot. And then my dad was an alcoholic, so like that didn't help at all. And I'm just like, dang, it just seems like she's stressed out about money all the time. And so for me, like I would even be scared to ask for money, but she somehow provided, like she was always able to give me what I wanted. Like you can say I was a spoiled brat, whatever, but I literally always got what I wanted, but like it stressed me out to think about how I got it. And so like that's literally how my life is now. Like I literally always have enough to have everything that I need. Like, you know, whether it be like having an amazing fiance who helps me out, or whether it be working for Amazon, like it's like my identity with money was revolved around that. And like shifting to a new identity is like what I'm in the process of doing now. But it started with like recognizing it and recognizing like the emotions I felt and the emotions I want to feel. And like some actions like I start to do to take towards that, like they feel extremely uncomfortable doing it, or like even like jump starting it to get there. Like even just like when I have to like sit down and take out my expenses and look at what I spent my money on for the last month, like it just stresses me out thinking about that. But every time I do it, I feel like extremely better. And it's just like what else we were talking about earlier, like anytime you're going to the person that is different, it gets you out of your comfort zone. Yeah. And it's like it's what you asked for, but like you're not gonna get what you asked for being the same person or doing the same things. And sometimes I always have to like remind myself that like this is what you asked for. Like you're gonna have to do the work. It's not just gonna magically appear out of nowhere. Like, and then like it's always about taking. You're not gonna feel motivated all of the time.
Before you go on, if I may,
go ahead.
I just want to say that one of the biggest turning points or takeaways I had from what you just said is your willingness to talk about it. And I think that's a very big change from what we've seen traditionally in our communities. You know, I remember like growing up in school, like if there was something going on at home and the teacher would ask you, hey, you don't seem your natural cheery self, what's going on? You'd be like, I'm not saying nothing. I can't say nothing. I can't speak on home and what's going on. That's private. Or, hey, it looks like mom is stressed out about money. Let me ask her what's going on. I'm not talking to mom about money. I know that that's a taboo topic. All the things that we, in honesty, needed to talk about were taboo things to talk about in our household. And so I think that's a real turning point. Opening up yourself and being willing to talk about, hey, I feel that, you know, my connection with money is this now because of what I saw here, is a huge step within itself. Because now you can see the connections. And once you see and understand the connections and how those things came to fruition, you can develop a path for changing them. Otherwise, if you don't talk about it, if you don't explore those feelings, you never get to that point. You never get to a point of saying, I need to change my feelings around money that are centered on this. I need to create new positive affirmations that counter these negative emotions. When in reality, if you don't talk about it, you'll just be dealing with those negative emotions.
Yeah, it's like growing up, like as soon as you're born, your parents put these blinders on you. And so all your life you're like, oh, this is just how I see the world.
Yep.
And then one day you go up to a mirror, somebody's like, hey, your blinders are on. And you're like, what? I can take these off, and then you take them off, or you can put on a freaking tent, like you can look out through pink vision or whatever. And you're like, oh, but you never knew until, like, you didn't know you could change it until you were aware that it existed. And so, like, I feel like meditating, journaling, visualization, what else do we say? All of that is just like a way to like do research on yourself.
Yes. Because
when you meditate, you start to see the reoccurring thoughts that happen in your head. And then you just, in general, start to pay attention to your thoughts more. Because I feel like I didn't really pay attention until what I was thinking until I was about like 20, 21.
Yeah, I would say that was 22, probably even later for me.
Yeah, it was just a voice in my head. Like I didn't think, oh, that's me. I I can control that. It was usually just like a continuous ramble of stuff
Overload.
like all over, like, and then like in the social media age, we got Instagram, we got TV, Netflix, Hulu, HBO Max, go outside, advertisements everywhere, and it's just like, how much of this is being programmed in my mind? And now I know I can reprogram myself no matter what. Like, whether you believe it or not, affirmations work.
Yeah.
Like, they work. It's crazy. Like, it's literally like as soon as you forget about it, you see it in your life. And it's just like, it shows up, everything always shows up not the way you expect it. So I think the best way is to just live your life without, like, you just ask for it and live. Take inspired action. Like, don't be sitting there thinking about, oh, I wish I had this. Like, literally, like, focus only in the present. Like, what can I do now? I want to start a business one day. Why do I want to start a business? Let's start out with like my game plan. What's my ideal customer? What vendors do I want to look at? What do I want my goal income? Like, how much will it be? Like, start now. And I feel like a lot of us feel like it'll be easy, and then we get the first roadblock, and it's like, oh, you think everybody who started a business just like walked down the road and it's like, oh, la-di-da-di-day and made $1 million? No, like, they had those challenges, and it's just like, are you going to be able to overcome those challenges? If you can't, then maybe that business isn't for you in the first place.
That's true. And I think mental health accounting is so important. I mean, going back to information, when you talk about the power of the mind, you know, we're constantly taught from a young age that we only use a very small capacity of our brain. And then you talk about things like meditation and affirmation, and these allow us to tap into aspects of our brain that, you know, a lot of people don't use on a daily basis. So if your mind is already this strong, imagine, you know, tapping into those extra spaces, that extra potential that your mind has in order to change your reality. And look at the positive aspects that have come from that. I mean, just think about, you know, how many, as a people, how many of us are dealing with mental health conditions, dealing with physical health conditions, just from a lack of accounting or pushing it off to the side, not figuring out and addressing things. Oh, that feels funny. Maybe I should get that checked out. Instead of, that feels funny. No, that's gonna cost $50. I can't be bothered with that. Or there's something going on in my head right now. There's a sadness I can't control. No, that's nothing. I have to, you know, go by any means. That's soft, you know. And you know, we've seen the positive effects of let's you know, take the time to deal with this, see if there's other options. I think one of the biggest things that kind of illuminated my mind on that point was, and we can edit this if you want to talk about this publicly, but you're dealing with ADHD, and like my kind of not wanting to do medicine. Like I've had problems throughout my life that have caused me to take medication. So like I have migraines and they prescribe medication, but I would always only take it for so long before I would wean myself off of it because I didn't want to be addicted to medication. Everything that I heard about medicine and medication came from a negative place. So when I looked at it, I was like, no, those are like, it's almost like crack. Like I can't be addicted to that. I don't want that in my life. I don't want to be relying on something else. I can only be relying on me. It's only me that's going to get through. And then I would talk to Janae about, you know, like I would be struggling to focus, struggling to keep a one-track mind or focus on thoughts, things that had come, you know, easily before. And I would ask her, you know, how did she feel on her medication? Did she feel like she was relying on it, but she felt like it was doing exactly what it was prescribed to do? And, you know, as we talk about information and changing your opinion, giving new information, I was able to see, hey, maybe I should look into that, being open to, you know, there may be something going on with me in this aspect, and it's not something to be shameful to say that I may need medication in order to help me deal with this aspect of my mental health that I can't control or haven't been able to control lately. And if it's not medication, maybe I need to do a deeper dive on why I'm struggling to be able to take care of that with my own mental faculties. regardless of the case, I'm now more open to exploring it, and it's going to make me healthier and better in the long run because of my openness to do so.
Yep. And I think it like stemmed from just talking about it. Like,
yeah,
there's so much power in community, and I think that's one thing that I really realized like the later half of 2021. Well, I'm just like, it's so important the people you surround yourself with, because no matter what, they will influence you in some way. You will somehow start to think like them in some way, or act like them in some way, or pick up on some of the ideas that they think about. Like, and that's why it's like important to have people around you that'll nurture you. But either way, whatever relationship, interaction you have with people is kind of like a mirror back. How what you put out, you get back.
Yes.
And I think like even when you have a so-called negative interaction with people, it's just like, like looking back, it's just like, well, I've had a bad day before where I was short with somebody on the phone. Maybe that's just what happened. Like, I don't think they're in general a bad person that hates black people. It's always a racism thing to me. If you're not black, I think you're being racist. But I always have to tell myself that not everybody is racist. Like, some people are, but like, it's not always that, you know? It's like, it could be maybe they got a hemorrhoid, they got triggered or something.
Yikes.
Maybe they just broke up with their boyfriend or something and they're sad, or like, because like, after working I've been working 9 months now, and I've had all types of human interactions possible. And it's just like, I have a new empathy for interacting with people, because I just was on the phone with somebody and they were so rude, and then I was like, I can't be mean to them. Like, you can't fight fire with fire. That's one thing. That's another thing I learned about managing people, like, because that would just lead to a blow up. So I was like, well, thank you for your help. She ended up giving me a huge discount, and I was like, bet. I was like, thank you, ma'am. Have a good day. Like, at the end of the day, like, try to treat people like, I don't know, sometimes as a manager, when I'm upset, I expect people to know why I'm upset. This is their first interaction with me.
That's
they don't know why I'm upset. Yeah, like, they don't know what just happened. They're probably having a good day, and they come up to me with a nasty attitude, and they're like, well, she just ruined my day. But are you gonna let somebody ruin your day, or are you just gonna give them the benefit of the doubt and go on and control what you can control, which is your own attitude and what you do and what actions you take? I don't know where I was going with this, but I think we should wrap this video up.
Okay, I was about to say the same. So I would like to try to boil it down, I guess, into advocating for changing old habits. I think let's try to come up with 5 major takeaways. So I would say being open to communication, for one. Doing personal accounting. Yeah,
personal inventory on your thoughts.
Changing your opinion, giving new information. I think that's super important. I think we, in general, as people, whether you're black, white, or whatever, is, especially in this time and age, we want to stick to our guns. No matter what, you could put the statistics, the numbers right in front of your face, you'd be like, but nah. So yes, change your opinion, giving new information. Understand that yes, adversity will teach you, but also abundance and help can teach you as well. Like, giving help doesn't cripple that person in their ability to deal with things.
I think it comes down to like self-worth. Like, you are just as important as Beyonce, Jesus, Michael Jackson. Jesus was a stretch, I'm not gonna lie. But you're just as important as everybody else on this earth. You're as important as the person who has everything you want, and you're as important as the person who has nothing. And so why can't you have everything you want?
Okay.
So you have to identify with that, not as somebody who can't have something because of
For sure. And I would say lastly, kind of going to your last point, is give empathy and grace. And understand that unity and community is important, and that we need to give others the grace that we expect. So those are the 5 takeaways, why you should be open to changing old habits and motivating the older generation and new generation to do the same. And so this has been Black Vision Network. I'm Theo, and that's,
Janae.
and we're out of here. Peace.